Hello, and welcome to the Nerd Load. Today is a very important episode, and why?
Because we are talking about the Black Panther. Colonizers.
Really?
Sorry.
I'm Ultron24.
The Justin.
And I'm Devilishboredom.
Alright, this episode, let's talk about and celebrate the fact that this film has done over $1 billion.
$1 billion?
Date.
Holy shit.
That's a lot of quiche.
Not one bootleg.
Bullshit.
2 bootlegs.
Bullshit.
Way more than that.
500 bootlegs circulated around random Harold's Chicken Shacks.
Like 800
Alright.
bootlegs.
Yeah.
But we're talking about coughs,
Cost, yeah.
crying babies,
Okay, sure.
getting up to pee.
Russian subtitles.
But
Maybe.
let's give a shout out to the people who watch those.
You guys are the true heroes.
guys are
Takes a
heroes.
lot. Takes
Good
a lot.
job. Good job. Good job. In this episode, we're going to talk about the history of the character, where he came from, the review of the film, our expectations going forward, and everything in between. So, Devilish Boredom, take us home. Tell us about this character.
Well, Black Panther, also known as T'Challa, was created by two fine Jewish boys named Stanley and Jack Kirby in 1966. First appeared Fantastic Four number 52.
Oh, wow. Also, the first mainstream black character in any comic magazine up to that point. Also, the first black character to headline his own book series in Jungle Action.
Jungle.
Jungle action.
Well, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Now, to be fair, a lot of you guys out there are saying, hey, this is the first black movie ever, black superhero, to say the least. Now, let's talk about some honorable mentions. Like, for me, let's start with Spawn. Anti-hero, hero, what have you. But who do you guys got? Let's go down the line.
Blade. Blade was a good one.
Wesley Snipes, baby.
I hear he actually wants to play Blade again.
Wow.
I mean, I would. He was a great character.
Yeah, definitely.
Who's messing now, Leroy?
Oh! The Last Dragon.
Oh, when you got
Phenomenal
that glow.
film. I mean, the glow, the power of the glow. Glow, glow, glow.
You got the glow.
Yeah.
I
But-
got the motherfucking glow.
Now, real hero talk. Well, let's go like superhero range. Blank Man,
Meteor Man.
Meteor Man.
With Don Cheadle, who played War Machine. He was actually in that as a Golden Lord.
How about
This
Ghost
is
Dad?
true. Who?
Ghost Dad.
Ghost Dad.
You get the thing, it goes here and there.
Puddin'.
Pudding.
Good old Bill Cosby's always a hero.
Well,
Always. Maybe?
Yeah, there was that whole
Yeah.
we
thing.
might not want to alienate a lot of our audience right up front.
Hey, so honorable mention Ghost Dad.
Honorable
But-
mention.
Anybody else you got? I mean, for me, if you want to go way, way back, Dolomite. Dolomite arguably.
Shaft.
Shaft.
Dolomite and Shaft, Blaxploitation, which helped Fruit forward. Power Man. I gotta say Luke Cage, which we will talk about at some point later on.
Underrated black hero, though. Real talk. Fred Williamson.
Fred Williamson.
He's been in some good shit.
Fred Williamson.
It's true.
If you have sensitive ears, you might want to just look it up for yourself.
Google it.
Google it. Google Fred
Google
Williamson.
He's a real brother.
He's a very real brother.
Just saying. But next, we're going to get to our reviews. All right, so now we're going to talk about review. I personally gave it a 9. I think the film was phenomenal. Honestly, it was a good film.
Very good.
The writing was solid for the most part. Great visuals. Marvel does it right when it comes to visuals, that's for sure. I definitely liked a lot of the interaction. I liked the fact that it took Wakanda as a people and brought them out into the open. They've been in hiding for so long up to this point, and to bring them as a people, to unite them, and to show them off to the rest of the Marvel Universe. It was great. I think that T'Challa really showed what he had inside of him and what he brought forward as being the king, and what he had to offer these people and honestly the world, and this cinematic universe moving forward. I think he's going to play a very important role. I think it really showed some great characters in the film too that honestly came out of left field. I mean, let's give it up for M'Baku. Man, a lot of people said Killmonger stole the show. My man M'Baku was in rare form.
The whole Jabari tribe stole the show, man.
That's right. That's right.
True.
If you haven't seen this film,
something wrong with you.
Shameful,
Fix
for
it.
one.
Why are you even watching this?
Yeah, exactly. Go watch the fucking movie, then come back. We'll talk. But yeah, man, M'Baku. That's my dude.
Bad boy.
And let's talk about the women. Let's have a moment for the ladies of Wakanda. I mean,
Strong, independent black women.
I mean, look at these girls behind us. I mean, they're amazing.
Shuri is missing though.
Yeah. Well, I'll pop her in. We're okay. Shuri was great too.
Yeah,
very.
I mean,
her
how,
interactions with T'Challa were
very good.
That's what I expected.
yeah, and that was the other cool thing about it. The emphasis on family.
Mm-hmm.
Not just
true.
the people, but the family and what it meant to them to stay together and be a part of each other's lives and everything. Really good content. I mean, that's where I think the writing really shined the most. What did you think, Justin?
I agree with all that. I thought that this movie did exactly what Marvel does at its best. It fleshes out a world, and then it pushes the world and the character in a very digestible bite. I thought that it was well balanced. The Jabari tribe, definitely excellent. The Dora Milaje, I mean, some of the greatest action scenes in genre film have been from the Marvel scenes. And I have to say, the Korea club scene. The casino Korea scene.
And the car chase after. Korea throwing the spear, stopping the car.
The whole thing, it was almost like a James Bond movie.
Yes, it was.
The way it was shot, the way it played out.
Claw's entire intro.
Claw being an
evil,
exciting,
evil just
fun.
to be evil because he loves it.
Yeah, because he loves. He has a SoundCloud like mixtape. I mean, it was just so, and that's the thing, the levity. I know everyone talks about Marvel films with levity, but this actually was exactly how much you would want from a Marvel movie. There's a lot of talk about Guardians being too, laughy and Ragnarok chopping it up too much. This was the perfect example that you can do levity in a good way.
Yeah.
It never undermined the plot. And they didn't throw away any gags except for the one of those things, But that was okay. So yeah, as a whole, I thought that it was excellent, and I'm pretty sure there are gonna be some more things that I'm gonna bring out. How about you, Devilish?
Well, contrary to both of you, I gave the film an 8. I highly enjoyed it, and there's a lot of things I did like. The Jabari tribe, the women. The entire
The women.
set.
The women.
The queens.
The queens.
But there are a lot of things that I didn't like also, but we'll get to
save
those
that.
in
We'll
time.
get to that, yeah.
But M'Baku's throne room. Can we talk about that for a second?
Yeah, that was a bad throne room, yeah.
All the bones and ivory and shit hanging on the walls, being held up by the gorilla and shit. That was fucking awesome.
Yeah. A good contrast too.
Yeah.
You can tell that they are like the hunters,
T'Challa got his all prim, proper throne room, and M'Baku just sitting up there, and his fur's just like, "What's up, bitch?"
Can we also talk about the fact that, not to cut you off, we finally got Angela Bassett with white hair. A lot of you youngins don't understand. Holly, before she was ever Storm, they were talking about Angela Bassett being Storm. So in some small way, we got a little bit, not exactly, but we did get her as almost Storm-like. I'll say that much.
Close.
Yeah, close.
Yeah, but we don't want
Visually.
T'Challa banging his mother.
We don't want that.
I mean...
That's a completely different movie. That's
you find that one on Pornhub.
That's something you might find going on in Asgard.
Yeah, I'm not gonna ship them. Black folks don't do stuff like that.
And let's take a side note, all right? Because you mentioned Guardians, so I mean, how cool would it be? come Infinity War if Star-Lord just finds Ulysses Claw's mixtape and pops in. He's like, what is this shit, you know?
Oh my god.
Starts playing, is like,
It could
Fuck
happen. It could happen though.
Hey, it could happen.
Yeah.
We'll find out. So, I mean, with that said, obviously that's a lot of positives that we all feel about this film. That's our individual scores.
Yeah.
So now, the thing is, there were definitely still negatives. I mean,
of course,
nothing is perfect. But yeah, let's get into that. We're gonna go ahead. We're gonna go down the line and talk about things that we didn't necessarily like for certain reasons, and things we would have liked to seen done differently, and so on. And then we're gonna give it a collective score, and go on from there. Now we kind of got to delve into the gripes and complaints. We got to talk about the things that, we would have liked to see done a little differently, and kind of talk about the negatives a little bit. So, let's start with you, Devilish. What do you got? All right.
Wakanda itself. We already said where the Jabari tribe hung out. That was a cool place. But the main hub of Wakanda, what you would expect to be the best looking place in the entire country. Granted, there were a few great areas. Shuri's lab looked fucking amazing.
Oh, yeah.
With all the different effects that they had going on in there and all the paintings on the walls and shit. It was very nice, futuristic looking. The vibranium mines with the train cars, those were nice. T'Challa's throne room, not that technically advanced, but just its overall design, and it looked like a king's throne. But then you get out into the actual cities, and I'm not talking about like the borders where they're trying to hide. I'm talking about when they're walking the streets of Wakanda. It felt like a back alley in Marrakesh, if I'm being honest.
I mean, that's fair.
It felt third world, like, okay, this is how the king lives, but the rest of y'all still have to live like you're poor and destitute. I mean, that doesn't really say advanced country to me.
Okay.
You got anything?
Well, I understand that. I thought that it was more so of a design choice.
No, I get that.
Because one thing that they were very particular in doing was showing that they don't give up tradition just because they are. I mean, even think about if America in the MCU got their hands on that heart-shaped herb. I mean, we had like 2 or 3 movies dedicated to trying to recreate the Captain America program, and they have it there in abundance, and only one person uses it. So I think that even that kind of that was kind of transitioned into the way they live. But I don't disagree. I would have liked to see that technological advancement pervasive throughout the entire Wakanda. So yeah, it did kind of look like a level from Uncharted, like one point, yeah, yeah. It was, which I understand the greenery and the cityscape from above is beautiful, but I do agree with that. One of my negatives was I really like Killmonger. I like Killmonger a lot. I think that
he's played well. He's
played well. Michael B. Jordan is a very good actor, very consistent.
See in the beginning with the artifacts.
Yeah. So I mean that was a great character, just a little peek into his intelligence and the fact that he is someone who understands about the world and all the things he's done being a Marine and all that. But that being said, at the end, it did just become another Black Panther versus Black Panther. And I understand, it's been officially called the Golden Jaguar character. But still, it was a little bit Ironmonger versus Ironmonger or Warmonger?
Yeah, it was the Ironmonger in the first Iron Man film, yes.
Versus Iron Man-ish.
A lot of DBZ clashes going on with the kinetic energy in the suits.
Which is fine, but I wish that he had a little bit more just visually. This is all just a visual gripe. A little bit more differentiation. Because it did kind of feel like an alternate costume for the character I already picked.
Or like more or less
a mirror match.
It was more or less a Goodwill situation. You know, it was like, hey, here's my clothes I don't want.
Yeah, I don't like the gold. You go ahead and take.
They're sitting over there.
Yeah.
I mean,
hit on my hand-me-downs.
And he didn't need that. I think that if he just had like the long trench and the dreads and the two, that would have been a great.
Either that or his military
garb with the mask, you know.
Yeah.
But that's just a very small gripe that I have with it. What about you?
You know, well, I want to piggyback right off of that. That was one of my biggest gripes. It really made for that last battle being very anticlimactic because of that aspect. I mean, you literally it was like fighting a clone, and I mean, it's just, honestly, it's not that much fun, because then it just comes down to, okay, like, you know, how am I going to utilize something? Like in that case, it was the environment to kind of get the upper hand, because you're more or less almost the same person at that point. And exactly, I wanted differentiation. Like, I thought it was great when they first announced the fact that, you know, there was going to be the Golden Jaguar. Aspect.
Not just a Black Panther suit with gold trim.
With certain highlights that sure he was kind of like, hey, this looks kind of cool.
Yeah,
and then he's like, I don't want that shit. I like this one.
Yeah.
But yeah, exactly. Like that was the thing was, yeah, I mean, there was just no difference there, and it just didn't feel right. And that was definitely a big concern. And like I said, it made the last fight very anticlimactic. Not to mention, it was in general because of the fact that I feel like the film was a great film, and like we said, there was a lot of really good cues. But my biggest thing is, you know, I'm going to touch on another film, and this is kind of my gold standard. But Captain America, Winter Soldier.
Yep.
Bucky, the Winter Soldier, was an ever-present threat throughout the entire film. And Brainwashed or Not was really built on, and then not only that, the relationship between Cap and Bucky really was touched on and brought forward, and it really made for a great dynamic. That in the end of the film, that final battle was almost like heart-wrenching at points.
Well, they still also had an entire first film to build parts of that up.
That's true.
Right, and I get that. This is the first film, but at the same time, I guess what I'm getting at is Killmonger was a hell of a character.
Yeah.
But that's where my issue lies with that, is because it was kind of more akin to, you know, gripe I have with Dark Knight, which is they built the Joker up so much. And I mean, everybody loves Heath Ledger's Joker. It was phenomenal. It was dynamic. But he popped up here and there, you know. He wasn't that ever-present threat. And to me, the greatest villains are the ones that are like, boom, they're in your face at all times. Like it's almost like having a fucking bee flying around your head. You're just swatting away, like, please, you know, like it really tests the hero. Where in this, spoiler permitting, sorry, go see the film if you haven't. But here comes the spoiler. If you watched up to this point, I would think that you've seen the film. But the fight between T'Challa and Killmonger, when he challenges for the throne, I mean, that was a great battle. That's what you see. That's where a hero gets tested. When he gets knocked down, does he get back up and find a way to triumph?
And also the throw from the waterfall ripped directly from the comics. That was in the comic.
Yeah, I mean, great attention to detail. But with that said, yeah, I mean, I felt like there needed to be more building on that character to really make you. I mean, a lot of people identified with him, and for many great reasons. But I felt like I wanted to identify with him a little more than just the aspects and why he was doing what he's doing. I wanted more in terms of, you know, they had great moments that really touched on he and his father, and that being a big part of him doing what he was doing, and the fact that, I mean, obviously his father had taught him about Wakanda, the beauty of Wakanda, the people, and why, you know, his father was doing what he was doing himself. And, you know, that's what carried over into Killmonger. So it would have been great to see more of that dynamic, just understand more.
Yeah.
So that was my biggest gripe.
And to kind of piggyback off of what you were saying, we're all like very big martial art, you know, fans, you know, martial art, be it in film or competitive. And when we were first introduced to T'Challa in Civil War, I mean, that was some of the most beautifully choreographed fighting.
And there was really none of that.
It wasn't a whole lot of great choreo. Like, the reason why I even, bring up the Korea casino scenes is that's where you had the best fighting. I mean, just the fight on the balcony where we actually had a steady camera hold in on certain moves. But then in the rest of the film, that's kind of lost. And I understand that it's a little bit lighter fare than Civil War was. And it's a little bit more actiony and a little bit more stylized. But the kinetic energy, and I get it, it's in the comic, it's in the newer run of the comic where, you have this shockwave. First time, excellent. Second time, it's like, oh, of course, just do it again. But wouldn't it have been a lot cooler to actually see Black Panther physically fight that army? I mean, he could have actually physically fought the army.
I would have actually just liked to see more Black Panther being Black Panther.
Yeah. And I actually, there are a lot of good aspects in the movie, but that opening scene where he's taking out the militia to get Lupita's character, Nakia.
Yeah.
Great, but it had that nighttime syndrome that movies constantly do. If I cannot see the action, why do I care? And it's not like Batmanish where that's the point to not sometimes see it. No, this was like Batman Begins where it's like, okay, why is the camera shaking? Why is it so dark? I'm not gonna be able to connect with any of this.
I get the point of it being dark.
Yeah,
Black Panther stalking his jungle and doing his thing.
But we should see it.
Yeah,
right.
We should at least be able to make sense of the action going on instead of just quick flashes from gunfire.
Yeah, exactly.
I get trying to be stylized with that.
Yeah, but it was.
But I want to see the fucking action.
Show me the action, especially when you built this character to be that. And that's, I have to say that's probably my biggest gripe is that Ryan Coogler in Creed has such good choreographed fighting. I mean, you can't not have good choreographed fighting. But I didn't see a lot of that in this one. I don't know if maybe he had a different, obviously he had somewhat of a different team.
Stunt teams.
Yeah. And different choreographer. I have to look that up. But yeah, that's probably my biggest gripe. To me, that goes off of why the waterfall fight, both of those fights, the challenge fights were so good because we could actually see it. Yeah. And they were actually fighting, and there wasn't any power or anything. It was just two people fighting. So that's my gripe.
Well, with that said too, and that's another key point, is it's about consistency. We're all huge comic fans. It's a big part of why we do this channel. And now with content, we talked about this with even artists earlier. Consistency. It's the same thing going movie to movie, going film to film. Whether you have two different directors or not, you still have continuity as far as the characters.
There has to be some cohesiveness.
Correct. Now, exactly. Civil War was phenomenal in terms of the choreography, the feel, the flow, the action, how Black Panther handled himself. And you didn't see that in Black Panther, the film. And this happened after that. So you can't really argue that his skill set wasn't there. His skill set was absolutely already there. He showed it.
It's been there for quite a while before he was even Black Panther.
Right.
Because, he was probably training for the day that he'd have to take over for T'Chaka.
Yeah, exactly. And that was covered in the film. And, that's exactly what I'm talking about. You didn't see it in the action. It was almost like two different fighting styles from movie to movie.
There are two different fighting styles from scene to scene in the movie.
Yeah, I guess in moments I could say that.
Which happens a lot.
Yeah, but
these movies.
We're not going to go that far
we're
right
not,
now.
We're not nitpicking.
No,
it's a
just
good
too
movie.
much pointing things
Yeah,
out.
it's a beautifully filmed movie, but there are just some.
Right. And that was, one of the things. You talked about the waterfall scene. Now, one thing is T'Challa has been training his whole life, yet you didn't, in moments you saw it in the fighting. Mm-hmm. But I'm sorry, when he fought Killmonger, I got the dynamic they were going for, but he was way too underpowered. He should have put up a much better fight, militaristic or not. It doesn't matter what Killmonger's training is. His training came from the US of A, not from the super-powered king of Wakanda from generations of fighting. Yeah. And not to mention the fact that There's going to be fun facts covered in this episode here in a bit. But one fun fact is actually T'Challa's martial arts background. It rivals that of high level characters in the comics.
Yeah.
I mean, one being Batman. Honestly, if Black Panther and Batman met, I mean, Black Panther either could win or probably would win. Just saying. But he's beat
for that.
Hey,
he's prep time though.
Yeah, he's beat a lot of high end big name characters that we'll touch on too. But yeah, I mean that's what I'm saying. Like that you know, between that and then even once he gets his powers back in that final fight, we could have gotten a lot more.
And I appreciate it. You know, I mean, look, the final fight is excellent, primarily because of the scoring. The Glory to Bast. The score was great. But there are pieces of it that's great. Like Killmonger fighting the Dora Milaje is great. When we first see T'Challa come back and he's like, you know, outrunning an assault helicopter and like takes it down. That's great.
Yeah.
Taking down the Rhino is great. When the Jabari come, that's great. But there are so many portions, like you said, that we don't see that rival to guys like Daredevil, to Captain America. Especially when coming from, I hate to keep going back to Civil War, but coming from Civil War, where literally if you look at Bucky from Winter Soldier Civil War, he does not change. He is just as deadly. He's just not killing people as often, but he's still just as skilled. Bucky never beats T'Challa once in Civil War. He never gets over on him.
And you can see in Civil War how good Bucky
is. And so
getting out of that spot with all the SWAT team members coming in, even with Cap's help, Bucky could have done it himself.
Yeah, but to see T'Challa literally have Winter Soldier running from him, where was that in this? You're absolutely correct. I don't care how much Killmonger has trained. I don't care. I don't care. So Killmonger is just because he's angry and can train, he can beat the Black Panther. No. It's no. Now, with the suit, with the powers or whatever, sure, we can make some type of fight. There has to be a contest. But as soon as my man got the powers taken from him, it would have been over. That should have been a squash match. He should have John Cena them. Okay, like it's absolutely no way that just because you brand yourself, okay, it doesn't matter. Like you said, you were not trained by the warrior nation as Wakanda. I could go on all day.
I mean, that shows in the guard. I mean, this is the last. I'm going to touch on it before we give our final score.
I know exactly what you're going to say. I know exactly what you're going to say.
But that even shows. Look at the women. Look at the women.
The women are cold.
They.
Stone cold.
That's the problem. In that moment, you felt that. You know. I keep wanting to call her Michonne because I mean,
she'll always be Michonne.
Yeah, she'll always be Michonne.
Damn
but
good one.
you know, she could have come down. I feel, and she would have won that fight.
Yeah,
and she's just the guard. She's not the Black Panther.
General.
She didn't have that training. I feel that the Black Panther would have been more highly trained than the guard. Like the Black Panther should be able to take down his entire guard.
Yeah.
So. I mean, that just goes to show.
In any martial arts movie, I mean, you see the head taking on every guard they have as training.
Yeah. And that's, to me, the reason why. And I know it seems like we're griping on it, but at the end of the day, with certain characters, these are important to certain characters. With Spider-Man, I don't need to see ridiculously choreographed fights. If we get really good choreographed fights, Spider-Man, that's great. But Spider-Man is more so
trained by Shang-Chi, and we're seeing that.
Exactly. So when it comes to guys like Black Panther, when it comes to guys like Daredevil, like Captain, like Bucky, these are pure fighters. These are purists. They are pure combatants. If you went to a Batman movie and it didn't have great action, everybody would say, "Oh, that movie sucked. Didn't have any good fighting." Mm-hmm. You need good fighting. Like actual physical fighting choreography in a Black Panther movie. And this had moments, but to me it wasn't enough. It wasn't enough of those moments.
Yeah, I mean it comes down to you have to believe it.
You have to believe it.
Just like when Justin and I draw comics, when we draw things, you have to believe it. Or I mean there's no point. It's just not going to progress the story. Right.
Yeah, exactly.
So with that said, I mean we're not pulling this apart. we gave it high scores individually.
High scores.
So
2 9s.
Granted, with
8.
our little round table, as far as the negatives and things we would have liked more of, I mean, that's going to happen with everything.
Oh yeah.
So, I mean, with that said, we're gonna give it our overall score, which I still think is pretty fair, rounding it off across the board. And you know, we'll kind of recap some of the positives, you know, to you know, bring that back out in the open. So, I mean, what did we give this all together?
We give this. Calm down. Okay, look, I want to talk to you guys for a minute. You guys want to cover your ears? Black folks, the movie's great, and we're gonna talk about how great it is. It's a great movie, but it's okay for it not to get a perfect score. But this is a top 5 Marvel movie. This is up there, guys. But we give it...
The media surrounding it was the worst part of the movie, actually.
The toxicity of the people trying to make it not good. But we're on your side. We give this a 8.5 M'Bakus out of a possible 10 M'Bakus. So it's a fun film. Great film. It has some things in it, but overall, I think we say we're all pretty impressed by it.
I'm happy with it.
Amazed.
Yeah, I'm definitely happy with it. I'm looking forward to the second one.
Oh, yeah.
Looking forward to everything.
And hopefully they'll fix the problems we had with the first one.
I have no doubt.
And with that said, let's recap the positives. So for me, once again, bringing a whole people, uniting them and bringing them to the forefront, not just being about one character or another, doing an entire people and culture and bringing them out in the open. Yeah. That was great. They handled that very well.
Yeah, definitely. For me, it was the design elements of the film, even little things like at the beginning, as Devilish had pointed out, some of the aspects of the hologram and seeing the different types of technology that Wakanda has completely adjacent to places like Asgard and with Stark in the US and even Pym. So that was great to me, the design. And the cool, how about, let's hear it for that really cool CG work on the like sand hologram kind of system in that beginning. I was so impressed by that.
Well, they used it in a few places with the virtual
cars and
helicopter, the communication devices.
Yep. Yeah,
absolutely.
That formed up out of the
it did.
sand.
What about you, Devilish?
I like the interactions of the characters myself. The way they played off of each other. You could tell certain characters cared about other characters, and I don't know. It's just good dialogues, and
it was very good.
You know, and to cap this off, let's talk about the biggest positive, which, I mean, in a way I touched on it by talking about Wakanda and a people, but it goes further than that. It's what it meant for the outside world, the people watching this film, you know, for African American culture in this world that we live in, and it uniting those people. I mean, there's so much great imagery out there right now of people that were so proud and so happy and so ecstatic to see this film, be a part of it, have it be a part of the world. And honestly, their culture is something that's going to be shared forever. Yeah. I mean, such great pictures too of people dressing up and going to the premieres, and just the cohesiveness and the bonds between just people that don't even know each other, just seeing each other and being excited together. Yeah. Man, it was a joyous feeling, and that even carried into the film and what they did with the film. Mm-hmm. Big spoiler, but like we said, that's your own fault if you haven't seen the film. It was so amazing having that after credit scene, because there was that dynamic of, you know, Killmonger's character, and there's a lot of that in the world now, where it's basically, oh, well, you know, there's
fuck these colonizers.
We're not going there. There's all this injustice, which there's a lot of injustice in this world, but it all, you know, people are affected differently, and Killmonger was affected the way he was, and he wanted to do something about it, and use that anger and channel it. And T'Challa came from a place of peace. He wanted to help. But bring and unite everybody and unite the world. And it shows in the after credits scene when he addresses the UN and says, you know, we have to watch out. We have to look out for one another.
One
you know,
Yeah.
And we are one tribe, you know, and that's what this world needs, and that film brought that forward too. So if there's anything, you know, I definitely want to say that that's the message this film brought forward that is the greatest positive. So, I mean, with that said,
you know, we can see that. I mean, look, we just three brothers. You know, we black. So I know they just really light skinned. That's all it is. But yeah, I definitely agree. This is
my melanin count too low.
It's too low. Your melanin and your midichlorian count are both. But yeah, you know, this is a movie that has cultural importance, as we talked about, as Ultron talked about. And so that's why you have people dressing up. I don't understand when dressing up for a movie has ever been a big deal. I mean,
we do it for Star Wars all the time.
We do it for Star Wars all the time. Oh, Wakanda doesn't exist. Well, you know what? Naboo don't exist. Like, it doesn't matter. But it is something that is a positive. It is about family. Some of the most beautiful moments are when they're on like the spirit plane and he's talking to his father. I mean, like, those are some powerful, almost Lion King type moments. Also may have a few ties to Infinity War. It looks like a gem to me. I don't know. Maybe not. You know? But yeah, so it does have a very, very strong impact on people. And that's the reason why you even have people who are saying, you know, Killmonger's right. His last line before he dies,
oh, man.
Bury me in the ocean like my ancestors who knew that death was better than bondage. I mean, even the fact I even remember that line, that's a dope line to go out on. I mean, like if you're gonna go out on any line, like that's
going out on your sword.
That's going out, right?
Yeah.
So you can see some of those peaceful elements, like you saw Ultron. You can see definitely that was completely contrast, and so overall, the movie is about a community coming together, regardless of color, in the end. But it just might have had a little bit more significance to the people who probably haven't seen something like that on that type of scale before.
Yeah, I mean, with that said, this movie was phenomenal. If you haven't seen it, go see it. You're making a big mistake.
Go to Harold's.
Go to Harold's.
Get yourself a trunk copy.
That wraps up our first full-length episode featuring Black Panther here on the Nerd Load. Now, moving forward, you can expect up-and-coming review of the Tomb Raider film, some game content, Far Cry 5 review, and also coverage of C2E2, the convention here in Chicago.
And maybe some things along the way that are surprises. We'll just have to find out, and you'll have to stay tuned.
So like, subscribe, and don't forget to follow the Nerd Load. That's gonna be a good one. That's a keep record.